What's up, everybody? Rob Ferretti here, and first things first, we're looking a little bit better back here. A little bit more Sonic the Hedgehog, a little less Ace Ventura now. So we got the hair sorted out. My barber Flory came over to fix it at the house. We wore masks. Good stuff. I want to update you on the Bentley seat part with Alex. As I suspected or as I thought would happen, no word from Alex. No photo, no proof, no anything. I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Alex was probably caught doing a minor scam. Again, not a big deal, but he was caught. He tried to get angry and flip it on me, and I gave him the easiest outs possible to try to save face, and there was no face to be saved. So that being said, let me give you a quick update on the Corvette here while I'm here. I was looking at putting the Garrett turbo on while I was doing this, but I swapped over to the Dominator valve covers. I put the new oil catch can in here. I've just got to get the coil pack relocation going. There's a big long coil pack relocation wire over there, but these I may mount two here and two there so they're out of the way. I'm just waiting on that one bracket, those two brackets to come in. And then this car will be at least ready for somebody else to do. And then I got to get that manifold created. When I was looking to put the turbo on, this has just got a different mounting point onto the manifold than this. So I got to weld a V-band bung or whatever, the lip for the V-band on one side. We'll get to that. But we're going to talk about this today because we have to update you on another vehicle that I had that was crashed, and it happened to be a Lamborghini, was crashed without insurance, or with insurance, but then the company denied it, and what ultimately happened, because that company didn't end up having to pay. Stand by, let me put you on a pedestal so you can see. I got this here. This is my camera guy today. Good news also, if you guys are so inclined to watch some other stuff, I've got a new filmer coming in, and we're going to be filming a couple of series to sprinkle throughout the channel for the year. So that's going to be good stuff. Here we go, a little bit. All right. So as I said, I had a Lamborghini, and it was crashed by a customer. We verified the insurance prior to the rental. It was crashed, and that looked something like this.
Did I look at his head? Ow. Got it.
So there you have it. And that accident was a little bit worse than other accidents because that involved physical injuries. The driver hurt himself. I think he broke his neck, and he also, I'm not going to get too graphic, but he didn't have permanent injuries, but he was definitely injured to the point where there was going to be an injury claim. And that's really where the insurance companies start writing the big checks, or with the injury claims, especially if you hurt somebody else. Now, do you think they care about the value of a car? Not really. You drive a Toyota Corolla, you smash into a Lamborghini, they're still writing the check. The only difference is that when you rent a Lamborghini, they know if you get in an accident, it's not like you have a 3% chance of hitting a Lamborghini, that you are 100% chance of hitting a Lamborghini. That's where the rental insurance is a little different, but that risk is spread out among so many different people that the insurance companies promise me you're not going to feel bad for insurance companies. They make a killing. They are there when you don't need them, and when you need them, a lot of the times, if you think of hurricanes or anything else, groundwater flooding, we're not covering that. Well, what have I been paying you for? Groundwater flooding. I live here, and there's obviously a chance of groundwater flooding. Or I had my DVDs once. There was a shop in Hackensack. Guy had groundwater flooding. Not even really in a flood zone. He just had groundwater flooding. I lost $15,000 worth of wholesale inventory of actual, I wrote a check for that. And the guy's insurance didn't cover it. I'm like, well, your insurance didn't cover it. I had the same insurance company as him, so I made a claim on my insurance because it wasn't like a pipe burst. It was groundwater that came in and ruined his entire basement of product. And ultimately, we were both pounding sand. Same company, sorry, groundwater flood, not covering it, whether it was first party, third party claim, didn't matter. Sucks. So again, don't feel bad for insurance companies. But in this situation where the guy crashed the silver Lamborghini, his insurance didn't cover it. Now, why would an insurance company not cover it? A, they generally don't want to, but there's a couple of situations where they'll actively try not to. One is if it goes through like a sequence of brokers. Like certain insurance companies are set up like a parent and then a bunch of like subsidiaries. All these different subsidiary companies are worried about their risk level, or their, like if you have one office out of whatever, out of South Carolina, and they've got a higher claim rating than anyone else, then they're going to see that that office is doing something wrong, and that's going to impact them. So now you've got these little like middlemen trying to get in the way and stop all claims, so their rating looks better. I don't know how their pay structures are, or their borrowing structures are, whatever that situation may be, but when you insert the middleman, you're now running into an issue there where somebody's concerned about what may ultimately happen. Another reason an insurance company may deny a claim is if they suspect something isn't right. Like, if you're paying insurance on something, that's fine. They're okay with that. If you say that you don't have kids living in your house, but you have 2 teenagers living in their house, and then a teenager crashes a car, they may not cover it because you've now actively lied to the insurance company. If you drive a car and then put it in your parents' name or something like that, and then you crash the car, but you weren't an authorized driver of the car, same thing. If you went to college, or you get a P.O. box out of state and say that you live in Minnesota because the insurance is cheaper in Minnesota, but you don't live in Minnesota, you live in New York, there's a good chance that you'd go try to make a claim if something does go down. They're not going to cover it because you've materially lied to them. And that's what happened on our Lamborghini, is that that guy's insurance company, even though we called up and verified his coverage was active and it would extend to the car, that guy's insurance company deemed that he lied to the insurance company to get that policy, and he claimed that he lived somewhere he didn't. He said he lived with his dad. I'm like paraphrasing. I don't know if it was dad, his mom, his cousin, wherever. But he claimed he lived somewhere that he didn't, so they ultimately denied the claim because they decided that they did an investigation, especially for a several $100,000 claim, that this guy lived somewhere else. And that sucked. That was a tense period for us because we're like, well, now what do we do? This guy totaled the car, flipped it over. The car is absolutely totaled. And the only way that ultimately got resolved is by going to his wife's insurance, wife or girlfriend, whoever he lived with at the time, through her insurance because he lived with her. She wasn't there. She wasn't on the contract. She had nothing to do with this rental, but her insurance picked it up because he lived in the household. And that's why if anything ever happens, if it ever comes down to push or shove, like an insurance company does deny it, lawyers get involved. When lawyers get involved, the first thing a lawyer does is they look for all insurance coverage. And I'm talking about like, who does he work for? I want to see their company policy. Does he have life insurance? Does he have health insurance? Maybe there's something on there. Does he have renter's insurance? Does he have homeowner's insurance? Who does he live in the household with? I want to see their insurance policies. And when you start going after and gathering all these insurance policies, you get 2 things. One, some insurance companies may just write nuisance money, which is like, look, we don't want to get involved in this. We'll give you $5,000, go away. And they do that. That's a common thing they do. The other thing that they do is they may be found to be at fault. And look, your renter's insurance happens to cover third-party property damage when primary insurance doesn't cover it or something like that. And then now you have this thing where another insurance company steps in and covers the damage. And that's why all these lawsuits happen. Or it just may be that the insurance company shouldn't have denied it. And that's something that a lawyer will sue them, and that will then get overturned. They say, well, you issued the policy. You gave a representation to that company that that guy was covered for this. Now, you have to pay the company because they gave somebody a car, which is what we are with the Corvette. You gave somebody, or the company gave somebody a product based on your reassurance that there was coverage there. Your beef is now with your customer, not with the rental company, because the rental company took precautions, did everything they were supposed to do, and then you represented that there was coverage. If there wasn't coverage, you see what I'm saying? The last option is if you go through your personal insurance, like say the company went through their insurance, what they have is something called subrogation, where the insurance company will pay out the claim to make the insured whole, and then they'll do the same process. They'll go to different insurance policies. They may even sue the client. A lot of the times, or they'll subrogate behind the scenes with the other companies and be like, look, let's split it. You give us 50,000, we'll pay 50,000. A lot of the times you run into these subrogation issues, it's something that you'll never see, you'll never know the result of. You'll just have something, you may have a claim on your record, you may not, and it's whether or not they hold that against you. I don't, still to this day, can't tell you whether or not a claim will end up on your record or affect your rates. It's something that, like, everyone's got that anxiety that they don't want to make the claim, or some people love to make the claims, but you shouldn't make the claim because you have that anxiety that, like, look, I made a claim for $2,000, my insurance went up $500 a year for the next 5 years. I would have been better off just having my insurance at a lower rate than the insurance company recouping their losses in that way. So you have that. Now, a lot of times, in order for me to, I can't just sue the insurance company directly because I didn't do a deal with the insurance company. Even though the insurance company may have misrepresented, I have to sue each individual client. So I sue the guy who, at the end of the day, is ultimately responsible, because whether we require insurance, whether the guy was insured, not insured, he's responsible for his actions. That's what a rental contract says. Because you can go to Hertz and they're like, all right, who's your insurance carrier? You're declining our coverage? Yeah, I have State Farm. Okay, State Farm. That's it. You may not have State Farm. You may not have a policy in place. You may not have anything. You're just trying to save $13 a day, which is half the rental cost. But ultimately, if you misrepresent it, you're still responsible. Insurance is something to protect the individual. Now, if you crash the car, you're responsible. Like, you have to take responsibility. You buy insurance so that it lowers your risk. So if you do screw up and do something, you're not necessarily bankrupt or going into bankruptcy or giving up significant assets for a mistake that you made. But ultimately, the individual is always responsible. So I hate to do it. I hate to sue individuals, but we've done it in the past where in order to get your insurance back in the game, even if they deny something, like they'll pay the claim, but they won't pay loss of use or something like that, we may have to sue the individual for the loss of use, and then his insurance company will have to jump back in, and then we settle from there. So just a follow-up, I haven't heard back from the insurance company yet. As of right now, they're still denying the claim because they say he doesn't have collision coverage. I do have the phone call on my security cameras. I'm waiting for them to produce their record of the call, which they say, well, we can't find a record of it. Well, of course you can't, because it obviously means you're going to have to write that check. And it was as clear as day when they said, he has coverage up to $50,000. That's going to cost him $50,000 because some guy made an incorrect statement, or possibly made an incorrect statement, which the most frustrating thing is it could have been fixed instantly. If the guy didn't have sufficient coverage, all he would have had to do, not that he was intending on crashing the car, all he would have to do on the phone is say, oh, I don't have the right coverage? Okay, well, in order to rent this car, I have to up my coverage. They would do it on the phone. We've done that, like delivering a car at somebody's house. Oh, your coverage isn't sufficient. You have to up it. And right there on the phone, you up the coverage. It covers you, so you don't have to worry about the risk. So something as easy as that, that's the only way somebody's going to get a rental car, is if they have appropriate coverage. The insurance company, by saying he does have appropriate coverage, prevents step 2 from coming into play, where we do make sure that the customer has appropriate coverage if he doesn't. So that's going to be a problem for Liberty Mutual here. We'll see what happens with the Corvette. It's not going to be a short process. I at least don't expect it to be a short process. It looks like I may have to sue them or sue the customer to get to them. We'll see what ends up happening. So there's not going to be any more real updates on the Corvette insurance claim until it all gets resolved, because it's probably going to have to go legal unless Liberty Mutual sort of does the right thing and be like, all right, they've got us dead to rights here. We've got the phone call. It may be something that they'll have to litigate, and I'll let you know when that gets resolved. At this point in time, it looks like I will have to fix that car or sell it as is, or figure out what I'm going to do with it to get us to the point where there is a responsibility on me, if the insurance isn't paying out right away, to sort of mitigate the loss. So I can't just be like, all right, you guys owe me like $500 a day for the next 2 years while we argue it. That'll never fly in court. So once you see that there's going to be an impasse, there is a responsibility on the party that is being damaged to mitigate that loss, which is what I'm going to ultimately do as soon as I hear back from Liberty Mutual. If that is their hard position, and have them send me a denial in writing, then I can hand it to my attorneys to sort of act on. So stay tuned. Just want to let you know it's happened before, and they always get resolved one way or another, but That's part of the business. It's probably why you watch, because it's stuff that it sucks to go through, but it's pretty entertaining to watch people navigate through this world of poop that I call insurance. Bye. So you guys are familiar with my other company, Adventure Drives, right? Well, this year we've got 2 trips coming up. One which is starting in Seattle and ending in Jackson Hole in July. That's going up through the Canadian Rockies, coming down through Banff, Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, and Grand Teton National Park. It's going to be phenomenal. Also, we're going to be going to Scotland in October. We're going to be doing Scotch distilleries, playing golf at St. Andrews if you want to do that, walking around, seeing lakes, waterfalls, driving the North Coast. It's going to be an amazing trip. Prices start as low as $2,500 per person for the shorter trip in Scotland, about double that for the longer trip in July. If you're interested in going, check out the link in the description.